The Zalvari Empire had ruled the galaxy for centuries. Led by their proud and powerful queen Jiraka, they had crushed every species that dared resist. Their army was unmatched. Their weapons were advanced. Their minds were trained to control others through psionic power. So, when a small report came in from the edge of the Empire, Jiraka barely looked at it. "Primitive species resisting our patrol on Pharos," the report said. Jiraka smirked. "Humans," she said. "Use metal bullets," the generals laughed. They called humans weak, emotional, and chaotic. A single Zalvari fleet was sent to take the colony. No one expected trouble. It was just another easy victory. They were wrong. The sky over the planet Pharos burned with fire as drawpods fell. Zalvari soldiers in sleek armor marched through forests and ruins. Drones scanned ahead. Mind readers searched for resistance. But there was something wrong. The humans weren't running. They were fighting back, and not with fear, but with fire, steel, and fury. Commander Elias Ward stood on a broken wall, holding a heavy rifle. His armor was scratched, his arms were bleeding, but his eyes burned with focus. "Keep the flank tight," he shouted to his squad. "Don't let them push us back." Explosions roared around them. Zalvari Walker marched forward four-legged. Tall, with plasma cannons glowing, "Hit the legs," Elias yelled. The soldiers obeyed. Grenades flew. Bullets ripped into joints. The walker shuddered, fell, and exploded. A cheer rose from the humans, but it didn't last long. More Zalvari forces came, waves of soldiers, mind-controlled beasts, even floating command units. The humans fell back slowly. Street by street, Elias didn't run. He moved from group to group, fighting, pulling injured soldiers to safety, and holding the line. Then came the moment that changed everything. A Zalvari transport crashed near the human hospital zone. Fire spread. Smoke covered the area. The wounded inside cried out. No one could reach them, except Elias. He ran through the flames, grabbed a metal beam blocking the entrance, and groaning lifted it with raw strength. Cameras caught it. Zalvari scouts, watching from orbit, sent the footage back to the Queen. Queen Jiraka stared at the screen. She leaned forward, her golden eyes narrowing. "That can't be real," she whispered. Her advisor nodded. He lifted half a ton of steel. No assistance. No exosuit. He's just a soldier. "Yes." My Queen Jiraka stood slowly. "Bring him to me." Days later, the battle turned. The humans were strong, but not limitless. They were low on ammo. Supplies were running out. Air support had been blocked. The Zalvari used a trap, faking a retreat, then ambushing Elias's squad. He fought like a wild storm. 10 of them fell before they brought him down. Even after being shot twice and hit with a stun blast, he kept moving. They only stopped him with a psi blast straight to the brain. He collapsed, and then he woke up in chains. The cell was cold, metallic, and quiet. Elias sat on a bench, arms bound in front of him. 2 guards stood outside the energy door. He looked around calmly, breathing slowly. He was taken, but alive. That meant someone wanted to talk. The door opened. A tall alien female walked in. She wore silver robes and armor, her skin dark violet, eyes like fire. Her crown shimmered. Her steps were silent but full of command. She was not just a leader, she was the queen. Jiraka looked at Elias with interest. "You are human?" He nodded. "Elias Ward, Commander." She circled him slowly. "You killed 32 of my elite soldiers. You tried to take my people. You destroyed one of my walkers. I was walking toward civilians. Lifted a beam heavier than you. I didn't have a choice." Jiraka stopped in front of him. "You speak calmly, even now. Why?" Elias smiled slightly. "Because fear won't help me. I know what I stand for." The queen's expression didn't change, but something behind her eyes flickered. "You are strange, human," she said. "We have studied your kind. We're not supposed to be strong. Not like this. We're stronger than we look," Elias replied. "You are emotional, unpredictable, reckless." True, but we're also stubborn, loyal, and dangerous when pushed. Garaka leaned closer. What makes you fight like that? Elias looked her in the eye. We don't fight because we want to conquer. We fight because we refuse to kneel. Later in her private chambers, Garaka played the battle recordings again. She slowed them down, zoomed in, and watched. Humans. Taking cover, helping each other, moving as one. They had no hive mind, no advanced telepathy, no royal command. But still, they fought with something. More powerful than orders, choice, loyalty, fire. She frowned. Maybe we were wrong about them. Her advisor approached. Your Majesty, should we execute the prisoner? Garaka shook her head. No, I want to understand them more, especially this one. But if there are more like him? She paused. Yes, that's what worries me. Elias remained in the cell, but each day someone came to ask questions. Sometimes scientists, sometimes generals. Once even a mind reader tried to scan him. It failed. Elias smiled when they left angry. Humans weren't just physically strange to them. Their minds didn't break under pressure like other species. Their thoughts were chaotic, fast, and full of emotion, too hard to predict, too hard to control. Garaka returned one evening. I've seen many soldiers, she said, but none like you. I'm not special, Elias said. There are millions like me. She tilted her head. That's the problem. In a large hall on the ship, the Queen gathered her council. She showed them the footage. She spoke about the resistance. She spoke about Elias. This human is not the strongest of his kind, she said. He is only one. But if there are many, like him, a general interrupted, then we must wipe them out now. Another agreed. Destroy Earth before they spread further. Garaka raised her hand. No, she said. We must learn more. This may not be a species to destroy. It may be a species we must fear or join. Whispers filled the room. One scientist stood. Up. What if the humans are the future? Garaka looked toward the stars. Her voice was quiet but cold. Then the future will not bow to us. It will fight us. In his cell, Elias waited. He knew his people would come for him, not because he was important, but because he was one of them, and humans don't leave anyone behind. The Zalvari Royal Citadel was a place of silence and shadows. It floated in space like a black crown, cold and shining above the ruins of conquered worlds. Inside, there were golden halls, dark crystal towers, and long chambers where the queens. Voice echoed like thunder. Commander Elias Ward sat in a new cell, not dark and cold like before, but bright and strangely clean. The walls glowed softly. A tray of food sat untouched on the floor. He knew this was not kindness. This was study. They were watching him, testing him, trying to understand what made him. Different Queen Garaka stood behind a thick glass wall, watching him with sharp eyes. Her advisors stood nearby, whispering data. Heart rate steady. Body healing faster than expected. Has scars from old injuries. No enhancement implants. No fear signals in his brain activity. Garaka nodded slowly. This one is stable. Dangerous, but stable. Why? Do I feel he's not hiding anything? Yet he hides everything. Later, she entered the room. Elias looked up calmly as she approached. Did you come to kill me? He asked. Garaka didn't smile. No, I came to ask questions. I've already answered many. Not truthfully. Elias leaned back. Maybe your people don't like the answers. Garaka stood across from him, arms crossed. Humans have no telepathy, no shared mind, no natural psionic gifts. Yet you fight like a single body. You fight for each other, Elias said. We don't need mind control. We choose to protect our own. Garaka's brow furrowed. You fight harder than most species we've conquered. Elias nodded. Because most species fight to survive. We fight because we refuse to be ruled. She studied him for a long moment, then said something surprising. You're not a prisoner anymore. You're now a guest. The guard stepped forward and released his restraints. Elias rubbed his wrist slowly. What changed? I want to understand your kind before I decide what to do with your world. He stood, tall and proud. You might be too late. For the next few days, Elias was allowed to walk in limited areas of the ship, always followed by guards, but not chained. He saw laboratories, weapon chambers, and training arenas where the Zalvari practiced in silence, their minds connected by psionic links. He never saw laughter, never heard music, never once saw a child to him. Felt like a machine alive but empty. One day, Kuingaraka joined him as he looked out into the stars through a clear wall. This empire. You rule it all? He asked. Yes, she said. Hundreds of worlds, thousands of species. Do they all serve you willingly? No, many bowed in fear, some still resist. Elias glanced at her. And they're not yours. Giraka frowned. You believe in freedom? I believe in earned loyalty, he said, not forced silence. The queen didn't respond, but inside a question echoed in her mind. What is loyalty, if not something you take? Meanwhile, in the darkness of space, a human fleet approached. Hidden behind asteroids and planetary shadows, the Earth Coalition's fastest ships moved in silence. Their mission: rescue Commander Elias Ward. Leading them was Captain Lenara Gray, one of the best tacticians Earth had. Elias gave everything on Pharaohs, she said. Now we give everything to bring him back. Back on the Citadel, Queen Jiraka sat in her throne room, watching old battle recordings. She saw humans lifting wounded strangers. She saw soldiers, holding lines even when outnumbered. She saw a mother, shielding her child with her own body. She didn't understand it. So much loss, so much pain, and still. They fought not for glory, but for each other. In the private garden of the ship filled with glowing alien, Trezalius and Jiraka walked together. Why do you humans care so much about your own kind? She asked. Elias paused. Because we know what it feels like to be alone. We know life is hard. So we hold on to each other. Jiraka looked up at the stars. My people have no childhood like yours. We're trained from birth. No softness. No weakness. Sounds like a hard life. It made us powerful. And maybe, but it also made you blind. She turned to him sharply. Blind. You can't see the strength in emotion. In trust. In choice? Suddenly alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Jiraka's guards rushed in. My queen. Human ships have entered the system. She stood tall. How many? 5 small class. 1 destroyer. No signals, no warnings. They came silently. Jiraka looked at Elias. He simply smiled. They're here for me. Chaos filled the citadel. The queen's generals panicked. Do we attack? Jiraka paused. No, I want to see what they do. The human ships launched drones, not for bombing, but for scanning. Then, one by one, teams dropped into the citadels. Fast, quiet. Elias turned to Jiraka. They're not here to destroy. They're here to extract. How did they get past our shields? 'Cause humans adapt. Inside the ship, gunfire echoed in the halls. Zalvari soldiers tried to block the human rescue teams, but the humans were clever. They used misdirection. They used smoke, sound, and confusion. One team even hacked into the ship's internal lights, blinding the Zalvari with flashes. The queen watched it all in shock. They're not just strong, she said. They're unpredictable. One squad reached Elias' captain. Lenara Gray stepped forward. Commander Ward, he smiled. Took you long enough. Jiraka stood nearby. Silent, watching, Lenara pointed her weapon. We're taking him. Jiraka raised a hand. He's free to go. Lenara narrowed her eyes. Why? I've seen what he is, the queen said. And what you are. I don't understand it yet, but I will. Elias looked at her. You could stop us. I could, she said softly. But I want to see what happens next. As the human team escaped through the launch tunnel, Jiraka stood alone in the control room. Her generals were furious. You let the enemy walk free? She didn't reply. She kept her eyes on the screen, on the humans, on Elias. Later that night, Garakat walked into the genetics lab. She looked at the reports. Human DNA was tough, flexible, always changing, resistant to control, stronger when injured, capable of surviving in environments that killed most other species, and their minds so hard to read. So full of emotion and fire they couldn't be broken easily, she whispered to herself. Maybe we didn't evolve fast enough. In the distance, the human ships jumped away into hyperspace. Elias looked back at the stars one last time. She let us go, Lena said. She wants to understand us, Elias replied. I think she's scared. Of what? We might be everything her empire isn't. The human fleet jumped through hyperspace, returning from the heart of the Zalvari Empire. Inside the command ship Starblade, Commander Elias Ward stood in silence, staring at the stars through the wide observation window. Captain Lenara Gray entered the room. We made it. You're safe. Elias didn't answer right away. His thoughts were still with the Queen. She let us go, he said. Lenara folded her arms. She had a choice. She could have killed all of us. She didn't. Why? She's not sure what we are, Elias replied. And she's starting to realize. Maybe we're stronger than she believed. Far away, aboard the massive royal citadel ship Veilthin, Queen Jiraka sat in her throne chamber, but she wasn't speaking. She was watching again more recordings of human soldiers. Again and again. She watched how they ran into danger to save their wounded. She watched how they ignored fear to protect civilians. She even watched Elias fighting alone against her elite warriors. Her face showed no emotion. But inside her, something was changing. Her advisors entered the room. The humans will return, one said. Let them, she replied calmly. You should crush Earth now, Your Majesty. But Jiraka stood and said, No, I want to know what happens when humans decide to fight for more than just survival. On Earth, a massive council gathered in the orbital station over New Geneva. Leaders from Earth, Mars, Titan, and the Outer colonies were present. Even ambassadors from a few alien species joined. Elias stood before them, explaining everything. Queen Jiraka is not a fool, he said. She studies us. She's looking for weaknesses. But now, she's seeing something else. What? Someone asked. She's seeing that our greatest strength is not in weapons or ships. It's in how we protect each other. How we never stop. Some officials wanted peace. Others wanted war. But Elias said only one thing. She let me go. But next time, she might not. Back in the Zalvari Empire, news began to spread. Small colonies near human space were rebelling. Minor species, the Nerethi, refused to pay tribute. Another, the Kurlans, stopped sending supplies. It was strange. The Queen hadn't given the order to crush them. Instead, she visited them personally. In the Kurlan capital, the alien leader stood trembling as Queen Jiraka entered. But she didn't demand punishment. Instead, she asked questions. Why now? She said. Why resist us now? One brave Kurlan elder replied, Because we saw the humans stand up to you and survive. Jiraka's eyes narrowed. So they inspired you? Yes, the elder said. If they can fight, maybe so can we. Jiraka left the chamber in silence, but her mind was loud with thoughts. This is how it begins, she thought. Not with weapons, but with hope. Days later, Elias received a strange message. It came through a secure channel, hidden in the data stream of an old Zalvari drone. Only one person could have sent it. Queen Jiraka. The message was simple. Meet. Me. Alone. Neutral ground. Everyone on Earth said it was a trap, but Elias said, I'll go. Captain Lenara argued, You don't owe her anything. I don't go for her, Elias replied. Go to understand what happens next. The meeting place was a small moon named Cressa, with no cities, no armies, only rocks, and quiet wind. It was a neutral zone between territories. Elias landed alone. A single Zalvari shuttle arrived soon after. Jiraka stepped out. No guards, no weapons, just her. They met in the middle of a wide canyon beneath a red sky. You came, she said. So, did you? Elias replied. They sat on flat stones. For a long time, he said nothing. Then Garaka asked, "Why do your people keep fighting even when it's hopeless?" "Because we don't fight just for today," Elias said. "Fight for tomorrow." She looked at him. "You would risk everything, just for the chance your children live free?" "Yes," Elias answered. "Wouldn't you, Queen?" Didn't speak for a while. Then she said something no Zolvari ruler had said in centuries. "I'm not sure anymore." Not sure anymore. Suddenly, the sound of engines echoed across the canyon. Ships appeared above Zolvari warships, but they weren't. Sent by Garaka, a general named Vos Talik had followed her. He landed with dozens of soldiers. He marched forward, his voice full of fire. "You disgrace the Empire, my queen," speaking with this human like an equal. Garaka stood. "This meeting was private, General. You are weak. Your rule ends today." He pointed to Elias, and he dies first. Elias stepped forward, unarmed. "Try me." The general laughed. "You think you're still on a battlefield, human?" But before Vos could give the order to fire, Shiraka stepped between them. "No," she said. "If you want him, you must go through me." Vos looked shocked. "You protect him?" Shiraka turned slowly. "No. I protect what he represents." Wait. Blasters were raised. But Elias acted first, grabbing a soldier's weapon and using it like a club. He fought with brutal speed. He didn't hesitate. Garaka joined him, her royal blade, slicing through armor with precision. Together, human and queen fought back, dash to dash back. Vostalik shouted, "She's betrayed us. Take them both." More troops arrived. But then human ships appeared in the sky. Captain Lenara had followed Elias after all. Drop-dash pods crashed around them, and Earth soldiers poured out, taking positions quickly. Vostalik was surrounded. He growled, "This isn't over," and he vanished into a stealth ship. After the fight, Elias stood beside Jiraka. She was wounded but alive. She looked at him and said, "You risked your life again." "So did you," Garaka nodded. "Maybe I understand now. Strength is not only power, it's what you choose to stand for." Elias smiled. "You're learning fast." Back aboard her ship, Garakov faced her remaining generals. Vos Talik has turned traitor, she said. He will raise a civil war. "What will we do, my queen?" Garaka spoke clearly. "We will not destroy Earth." "Yes." Gasps filled the chamber. "Instead," she continued, "we will find a new path." Back on Earth, Elias stood before the council again. "She's not our enemy anymore," he said, "but others in her empire will be." The council was silent. Then Lenara spoke. "And we don't just need weapons. We need alliances." Elias nodded. "It's time to show the galaxy what it means." The Zolvari Empire, once thought unbreakable, began to show cracks. News spread quickly. Small worlds that once bowed to the queen were now rising up. They whispered the name humans with new hope. Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the Starblade, watching the stars move slowly past. The human fleet was gathering, joined by ships from other species that no longer wished to be ruled by the Zolvari. "We are growing stronger," Elias said quietly. Captain Lenara Gray nodded. "Our allies are ready. The time has come." On a distant moon called Virulon, the Queen's War Council met in tension. The humans and their allies spread rebellion like fire. General Kale said angrily, "Our forces are stretched thin." Another general, younger and colder, said, "We must use the planet killer. Destroy Earth. End this." Garaka stood silently for a moment, then spoke. "No, we will not destroy Earth." Murmurs of shock filled the room. "You would spare the world that defies us." Something in their fight, something we lost. She turned to them all. "We will change or we will fall." Back with the humans, Elias prepared for the largest battle the system had seen in decades. "Are you ready?" Lenara asked. "I have to be," Elias replied. "This isn't just about one world. It's about freedom for all." The human fleet moved with purpose. Their ships were not the largest or most powerful, but their crews were determined. They fought with heart, The battle began over the war-torn planet of Jorith. Zalvari warships formed a dark cloud in the sky. The humans and their allies attacked with precision, but the Zalvari fought fiercely. Blaster fire lit the void ships, exploded in bursts of flame. On the ground, Elias led a strike team into the heart of the fighting. His soldiers moved quickly, saving civilians and taking out enemy command posts in the chaos. The humans showed something strange to the Zalvari. They did not just fight with weapons, they fought with ideas. One moment stood out: Ilias's squad found a group of alien refugees trapped under rubble. The soldiers could have left them to save time, but Elias said, "No one gets left behind." They cleared the rubble with their bare hands, pulling survivors free. In the battle, the small axe spread like wildfire. Queen Garrica watched from her flagship. She saw entire cities rise up against her soldiers. She saw families fight side by side. She saw hope. For the first time, she wondered if the Empire had become a cage, not a throne. After the battle, the Queen made a bold choice. She sent a message across the galaxy. A new era begins. We will seek peace, but we'll stand ready to fight for it. The message shocked many. Some cheered, others plotted. Elias received the message. While resting on Earth, he looked at the screen, feeling the weight of what had happened. "This isn't the end," he said. "No," Lenara agreed. "It's just the beginning." On Viralon, Giraka met Elias once again. They spoke honestly, without guards or walls. She asked, "What makes humans so different?" He smiled. "We choose our destiny." She nodded slowly. Other. But not all agreed. In the shadows, Vostalik, the traitor general, gathered followers. He whispered, "The queen is weak. The empire will fall." His rebellion grew. Elias and Jiraka knew this fight was far from over. But together, they faced the rising storm. Humanity was no longer alone. They were the spark lighting the galaxy's fire. The war for the soul of the Zalvari Empire was reaching its peak. On the dark, rocky moon of Cressa, Queen Jiraka and Commander Elias Ward prepared for a battle that would decide the future of many worlds. Inside the hidden caves of Cressa, the traitor general Vostalik gathered his forces. His voice echoed with anger. "The queen has betrayed our people. She weakens us with her foolish hope. We will take back the empire by force." His soldiers cheered, ready to fight. Meanwhile, Garrica and Elias stood quietly. "We can't let Vostalik win," Elias said. "His way means endless war." Garrica nodded. "He wants to return us to old ways, fear and control. We must stop him." Together, they planned to unite the loyal Zalvari with the humans and other allies. The battle began at dawn. Zalvari warriors clashed with Vostalik's rebels under the red sky of Cressa. Blasters fired. Swords clashed. Elias fought beside Garrica, their movements in sync. He admired her strength, but also saw her doubts. "You carry the weight of 1,000 worlds," Elias said during a brief pause. She looked at him. "And now, I carry the hope for millions." The fight was brutal. Vostalik was ruthless, but Jiraka's leadership inspired her loyalists. The humans used tactics unfamiliar to the Zalvara surprise attacks, coordinated strikes, and protection. Of civilians, the tide turned in a final confrontation. Garaka faced Talik. "You've lost," she said. "Not yet," he growled, raising his blade. But before the fight could end, Elias intervened with strength and skill. He disarmed Talik. Garaka stepped forward and spoke to the soldiers. "This empire will change. We'll build a new future together." Talik was captured, his rebellion crushed. Peace was fragile, but possible. After the battle, Jiraka gave up her crown. She declared herself the emissary of unity, a leader who would guide the empire into a new age of cooperation on Earth. Elias was hailed as a hero, but he knew the real victory was in what they had built. Humans and Zalvari worked side by side. Together, they explored new worlds, shared knowledge, and learned from each other. Years later, Garrica visited Earth. She watched children play in the sunlight. Her voice was soft. "We feared your strength," she said. "But it was your heart that made you powerful." Elias smiled beside her. "And your courage to change." The galaxy was no longer ruled by fear. It was led by hope, and humanity had shown the way.